Hi, Jim, Mark, and Bill with Fantasy RV Tours. And today we're talking about national parks. Now, Bill, I understand you've led some Western National Park tours for
Ye-
Fantasy. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, we have. We've done most of the ones in the West, Yellowstone, Arches, Zion, and Bryce, and Capitol Reef, and all of those. And they're just wonderful. And Mesa Verde, um, of my favorite of all of them probably is the Arches, but they're all wonderful. They all have their own unique scenery and that type of thing.
So, what stands out for Arches National Park for you? What was your favorite part?
Okay, my favorite park are the big arches that are worn away by millions of years of water, rain, water and wind, and going through those and carving it out. And then it's that beautiful red rock that you see in every John Wayne movie out there, right? And and what I like about it too is that when we went there, we had tour guides that knew the area. In a lot of those places, like Capitol Reef and different places, you have Native American guides that take you through there, and they point out why this one's so important and why. And you can see where one has fallen down in the last 50 years or whatever, and they point that out to you. So yes, it's Arches is a wonderful national park.
One of my favorite national parks is Mesa Verde National Park. Cliff Dweller community was several thousand years ago, and it was a population of around 10,000 people, and they built their homes in cliffs. And I suspect that they used that so as a defense and as weather protection. But they had, buildings with ladders and windows and doors and you can tour that still today, and it's awesome to climb down those ladders, and you can imagine yourself at that time and what that looked like and how the people lived. They had round circles in their little community. They're called kivas, and they were used as a meeting place as well as a religious place. And it's fascinating, the view and all the things that you can imagine.
Other national park stories?
I mentioned that Arches was one of my favorites, but I'll tell you, Yellowstone, obviously. We've all seen recently that it's celebrating the 150th anniversary, and the fact that it was the first national park. And if you haven't seen the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, you've missed something. It is absolutely fantastic. You see the waterfalls coming down, you see the river running down through there. It's great. And then you go out to the paint pots where it's bubbling up through the soil and the different colors of the soil around that area. And the fact that if you're a Lewis and Clark fan, and you know that John Coulter was on the Lewis and Clark expedition and came back out there, and I've read up on him. He pioneered that whole area, and you Coulter Bay, and you get to see all of that. And then of course you're right next to the Tetons. So you're right there by Jackson Hole, Jackson, Wyoming, and to get a chance to see that whole area. So and you learn about nature. You learn about the fact that they do not put out a forest fire unless it is man doesn't put it out, unless it's endangering a structure or some people, because it's the nature, the way it goes. They have what they call serotinous pine cones. And for that cone to open up and drop its seeds, it has to have fire. It has to have heat. And so when they have these fires, then they don't have to go back and reseed that, because over a period of the next decade or so, you'll see these seeds start to sprout up through there. And Yellowstone's just a fantastic place to go. All the different types of wolf packs, bears, obviously the bison are one of the main draws there, but and elk, and it's just beautiful. I just can't. And then they have a big elk ranch, or not elk ranch, elk preserve between the southern entrance of Yellowstone and Jackson. And just thousands and thousands of elk come down there. Now, during the summer, they're not down there. They're up at the high country, but they come down there in the wintertime. And it's just very, very fascinating.
One of my favorite parts of Yellowstone is the Old Faithful Lodge. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful lodge, and Old Faithful is amazing in and of itself.
It is, and that lodge, because it's all wood, and it was built by the Corps of Engineers, I think.
I don't know.
I believe it was, and a lot of those old buildings that they're still used today, they didn't even use nails. They used pegs and things like that, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You're correct, Mark. Inside there, and we go in there and have a meal at their buffet in there, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I love hiking around some of the pots and all of the different colors and the spectrums of light and stuff like that. It's just amazing. The different micro cultures of that park are so amazing.
Yes, it is.
So, Bill, you want to tell us a little bit about Bryce Canyon National Park?
Yes, Bryce Canyon all these parks are so unique. They're all different. Bryce Canyon, to me, looks like God sat up there and made sandcastles at the beach. Have you done that? Because they have these hoodoos, which are these tall, with the wind and the rain have blown around them, and they're tall spires that stick up into the sky. And you can they have hiking trails down around them. It's that gorgeous red rock that you see in the southwest there, and you can take a mule ride down through there, which I think is a must for everybody. If you don't like heights, you might want to think about it a little bit, but it isn't really bad. It isn't as steep as like the Grand Canyon mule ride, so it's beautiful. And Bryce Canyon is the home to a lot of different birds and different species in that area. So, and my favorite is they have a lodge there, the Bryce Canyon Lodge, which is another one that it rivals the ones in Yellowstone and different places, in El Tovar at Grand Canyon. But Bryce definitely should be on your list to stop.
And I think one of the nice things about a fantasy RV tour is you can get suggestions from your wagon master about what is an appropriate activity for you. Like you said, some of these hikes and other things for people who've never been there can get some quality information before they decide to venture out about what fits their activity level.
That is correct. That is correct. And you can ask your wagon master who, if they don't know the answer to it, your hiking level. Do you have a problem with height, with elevation, breathing, and what's a difficult trail, what's not a difficult trail. But most of the national parks now rate their trails. So you can say, like if you're have to use oxygen and you need knee replacements and everything, hiking down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon is not going to be on the top of your list or even on the bottom of your list.
Yeah.
But there could be a nature trail, or there could be a substitute.
There's some
that
nice
might be
trails around there, yes. Paved trails and things that make it very, very interesting.
So, Mark, tell me a little bit about the Great Smoky Mountains.
I believe that the Smoky Mountains is one of the highest visitor attended national parks in the country. And one of the things that it has is what's called Cades Cove. And I believe it's an 11-mile one-way road that travels through a nature area inside of the park. And it's just absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And another part that they have is called Klingman's Dome. And it's a concrete dome structure that you can hike to and hike up, and it is a great view, and it's also just steps away from the highest point of the Appalachian Trail. Bill, what do you recall about that?
What I recall about both of those areas is that the beauty in there, and you can see a couple old cabins in there from the early settlers that were in the area. I remember going around Cave Cove, and there's this white church, and the corner of it's sticking out, and it's held up by stones that they piled up on it to keep the building up. And it's also close to Gatlinburg, which is really, most of us heard about that through country music and Pigeon Forge. And there's some really nice entertainment in those areas to go to, and wonderful restaurants and things to go in that area. And of course, it's close to Dollywood. Dollywood is right there too. So if somebody wants to enjoy that area and do some of the more modern rides, but Dollywood does have a steam engine that came from the White Pass train in Alaska that they brought down there to the engine and stuff, ran that for many, many years, and it operates today and it is a steam engine through Dollywood.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, it's very interesting.
One of the other things about Gatlinburg is if you're into moonshine, that is probably the moonshine capital of the world.
Yes. Yes, and there, if you're one of those people that want to go find a moonshine area, then that might be a place for you to go.
Gatlinburg's the place.
So let's talk a little bit about the Grand Canyon.
Okay. We will talk about the Grand Canyon because my wife and I lived for the last 18 years within 100 miles of the south entrance to the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon is beautiful. And we all know about it. We've heard about it. It's popular. You can take raft trips down it. You can do different things. But when on our national parks tour, that's where we usually end, is at the Grand Canyon. And that's really nice because we can get on buses and go during the summertime. What's really kind of cool about some of these places is that over the years, they've gotten so popular. They are so popular that driving through them is almost impossible in your private vehicle. So, Fantasy signs us up for bus rides so that we can go through there. We don't have to fight any traffic. We don't have to go to the different outlook points and spell out what you're seeing. If you're looking, this is at the South Rim. If you're looking across towards the North Rim. Now we also on the Western National Parks do go to the North Rim too, which is not nearly it isn't nearly the tourist attraction of the South Rim, but it is beautiful, beautiful overlooks down into the canyon, and you can learn about all the species that are up there. You can learn about things about the fact that when they first formed the national park, they had a problem with mountain lions, so they hired hunters to come in and eliminate the mountain lions. Well, then when they did that, the deer population blossomed so much that they stripped all the trees and they were dying off of starvation. So they had to reintroduce mountain lions into it. And that's part of the history that's neat to learn about that I would say the average person probably doesn't even know about.
One of the things that I like about the Grand Canyon is the El Tovar Lodge that sits right on the edge of the south rim of the Grand Canyon. It's just an old lodge built in the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s. Just beautiful, beautiful. Another thing that I like about it is the Angel Bright Trail that goes down to the Colorado River. I don't know how long it is, but you can have the opportunity to take mule trips down there. You can hike down there if you're so inclined. The difference in climate, though, can be unbelievable. It can be as much as 30 or 40 degrees difference from the south rim of the Grand Canyon all the way down into the Phantom Ranch there at the Colorado River.
Yes, it can be 70 degrees on top and it's 120 down there, or 115. I mean, it's really hot down in that canyon in the summertime.
Yeah.
So yes, it's really great. And that El Tovar Lodge was part of the Harvey girls, the Harvey train thing that they put back when people traveled across, and they had and it is a magnificent lodge. As a matter of fact, one of my sisters got married there many years ago on Valentine's Day. Snow outside, beautiful. It is actually a beautiful lodge and a beautiful dining room too.
Is the Grand Canyon open 365 days a year?
It's open year round.
Year round.
What's that? It's just unless there's inclement weather that you can. The South Rim, not the North Rim. I'm sorry. The North Rim is not open in the wintertime because you can't get to it.
Right, it's a long drive there.
Well, it's a long drive, and there's a lot of snow and a lot of they do get a lot of snow up in that area.
Oh yeah.
At certain times of the year.
Oh yeah.
So, top 3 favorite national parks. Bill?
I like Arches. I love Yellowstone. And I probably think the third one would be Glacier.
I love all three of those as well. My favorite, though, I think is Yellowstone is obviously number one. Yosemite would have to be number 2, and I think Mesa Verde would have to be number 3 for me. I really like Yosemite as well.
Yes, Yosemite's got a great hotel there too. It's a beautiful old hotel.
It used to be called the Ahwahnee, but now it's called the Lodge.
It's back.
The Ahwahnee is back.
The Ahwahnee.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was changed. Yeah. I would say Yellowstone, without a doubt. Yosemite and the Grand Canyon would be my top choice.
Yes.
It's hard to choose. It really is.
Well, you need to
They're
go
all
see them
unique.
all, and then you can give a qualified answer.
Yes, and they're all unique. We didn't even talk about Zion, and Zion, the rock formations and stuff, they're beautiful. The Zion Canyon is absolutely gorgeous. They've got that mile-long tunnel that you drive through it was so long that they had to carve openings in the side so that people inside didn't get claustrophobia when they were going through it.
Right.
But that's another thing that you can't drive certain size motorhomes you can't take through there at all, but other ones have to be escorted because of the fact that they're too wide and they have to shut down the traffic coming from one end through to the other end. But it's beautiful. So they all have their own uniqueness.
So the national parks are often called America's best idea, and they are truly our treasures. In your lifetime, you should absolutely see as many as you can. So, Bill, Mark, any last thoughts on national parks?
Yes. The national parks, as you said, Jim, they have, we want to see them while we can. As things change in the world, climate change, all these different things, we want to see them while we can. And one thing that we do at Fantasy is that we try and make it so you can see things. You want to see things while you can physically, while you can financially, while it's still there. We used to run trips on barges down the Mississippi. You can't do those anymore because they can't do it because of insurance and stuff. Some of the trips down to Mexico have been eliminated because of different safety issues and different things. So you want to see things while you can and file away in your memory bank that I got to see that and I did that. And I think that's an important thing to consider when you're considering booking a tour, and the fact that we take care of everything. If things are limited, or if you need to get reservations 3 months or 6 months in advance, we've already taken care of that. Don't you agree, Mark?
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And to compound on what Bill had said, not to be morbid, but none of us know how much time that we have. I certainly would not put off traveling as something to do later. Do it now while you still can. Bill mentioned that as long as you still can. At some points, we will no longer be able to do RV traveling. You mentioned the Copper Canyon, where we used to put motorhomes on trains and travel down into Mexico. We can't do that anymore. I would just encourage anybody that's even considering going on an RV tour trip to do it now while you can, because we never know what's in store for us.
I think that's a good point. And go with a company like Fantasy RV Tours. Let us take care of all the details, and you can enjoy your trip.
For more information, click the link below or go to fantasyrvtours.com.
That's fantasyrvtours.com.
And ask for Bill.
Is there going to be a blooper reel?
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is.